to all of you all. So I think for us it's an honor and privilege that we're talking to a set of techies who's going to be actually running the technology of the future. And that's what it is. The next set of slides, all this while you got to know about what this organization is all about and what is in the organization. And now, to get into the organization, the kind of test and what are the eligibilities is what we're going to be talking in the next few slides. And then we have a question and answer session, so you can ask us all the questions that is required for you to know about the organization, what you want to know with regards to the test. We'll be there to answer that. So let's go to the next slide, and the next slide we will get a clarity about what the test process is all about and what the eligibility is all about. So the eligibility criteria, I'm sure you'll all be waiting for it and wanting to know what is it that is in for you if you really want to apply with Wipro. The first important thing that is all the details are there on the slide for you. We are looking at people who've got 60% or 6 CGPA. And that's which is going to be something which you need to have it throughout from a 10th standard till your engineering. That's till the semester that you're doing right now. We allow somebody with a 1 backlog till the offer stage. Okay, and the critical thing is for all of us to know, this is a common question which most of you all will have. What are the branches that are allowed? And we are allowing every branch to apply except for fashion technology or textile engineering. Okay, this is the only one thing, so you can just understand if you want to have a better clarity as to whether my branch is available or not. This is what it is. Other than fashion technology and textile engineering, all other branches are allowed to apply. Okay, and we allow people with 1 backlog also to apply, which means the most important thing for all of you all to know is also that it's FY22 pass outs. Those people passing out next year is what is eligible to apply. And for a gap, this is very important also for all of you all to know that the people with the minimum, max, we don't allow people for a gap beyond 3 years to apply. So now how this gap is understood is what I want you all to listen to it very carefully. Now, for those people who say that in engineering, for example, if you're doing a 4-year engineering course, and if you're completing engineering within 5 years or 6 years because you had some backlog or you had to actually take a year gap while you're in engineering, that's not allowed. Which means you got to have a complete 4-year to clear your engineering, which means you need to pass your engineering within that scope of 4 years, which is what is prescribed. Now, what is the gap that we accept? For those people, sometimes you might have a gap of 1 year after your 12th standard, just maybe because you want to prepare for your engineering or you want to improvise your ranking or whatever that is what you wanted to do. That is what we allow. And sometimes if you have a gap after your 10th standard before you go to your 12th standards, that gap is also allowed. So maximum of 3 years of gap in between education, from 10th standard to your engineering is what we probably look at. So just remember, let me repeat it again. In engineering, you need to complete your engineering within 4 years. And the gap that we probably accept is not somebody who's completing engineering 5 years or 6 years. You can't consider that as a 2-year gap or a 3-year gap. The gap would be in between your 10th standard to your 12th standard or your 12th standard to your engineering. So only back gaps of such would be considered. And the age limit which we probably would agree is about 25 years. And now let's move to the next slide to understand a little more clarity about what else is in store with regards to the test process. Now, this is how the selection process is. If you meet the eligibility criteria of 60% or 6 CGPA throughout from a 10th standard to your engineering and with 1 backlog, then this is what it is all for you. You have an online test that you need to go through, a very simple online test. And what are those online tests in the subsequent slides we will explain to you. And then once all of you all have registered, so those people who have registered today, you've called up, and the others, once you finish the registration, you will be getting information about the online process and the assessment, how to go about it also. So this is going to be a very simple assessment. The details of the assessment and the breakup of those details, which will be explained to you in the next slides that we have. Those people clearing the online test will go through a business discussion. Now, what is this business discussion all about? Business discussion is nothing but discussion where you're going to be meeting those future techies, something which you'll also be sometime, some years later. That is what it is. These people are going to be having the people who work on projects. They're going to have their required questions with you. And the question that they're going to ask you is very simple, nothing but what you have done in your resume itself. And that's what it is all about. And it's going to be a simple discussion with you. It's going to be a rendezvous with them. And then once things turn okay from their side, and that's when the letter of intent is given to you, which means you're selected. And while we move to the next slide to understand a little more in detail, once you're selected, what happens and how it goes for you is what we'll understand in the next slide. And this is what it is. So once an employee joins the organization, what is it in store for you? So this salary or compensation of 3.5 lakhs is what you will be eligible. And then afterwards, what are there after you join in as an employee? It's so important. You just can't be an employee and just be paid a salary. The organization will have to look at you because your well-being is more important, because as a human resource is the biggest asset which is more critical, and it's because of human resource the entire world runs the way it is running, isn't it? So which means it is so important that the organization needs to ensure the well-being of the employee as well as the family of the employee needs to be taken care of. With that in mind, so we have the medical insurances, the medical assistance scheme, which we call it as, and then you have the group accidents and life insurance coverage, parental insurance coverage. All these details would be explained to you in detail as to what are those that you would be eligible for, what would be the amount that you could probably, claim for as insurance is what would be explained to you in detail once you join it. But this is what you will be having. You will all benefit. Parental insurance would be there. Group insurance will be there for you. And you will have a personal insurance also for you, which will be taken. This will all be probably a facility which the organization is ensuring that the employee's well-being is taken care of. Now, here is what it is which is important. If you decide to join our organization, it's important that you have to sign an agreement of 12 months with us. And then the 12 months agreement costs about 75,000. So, and in case probably when there's a detail mentioned there, pro rata basis. What does this mean? This means that if you work for 6 months and you decide that I just want to go and move on and wouldn't want to continue with Wipro, then there is a certain amount. It won't be 75,000, but there's a certain amount that will be calculated within that 6 months, and that's the amount that you need to pay before you are allowed to leave Wipro. That's how it is. Now, here is what I want you to understand. Service agreement is not a bond. It's an agreement, which means it's something which you agree upon before joining us. It's something which you are okay with the terms and conditions of what the organization expects before you join us. And it's only for 12 months is what we're asking you, because that 12 months is the time. Why we do this is only because when you join us, you need minimum of 12 months for you to properly pick up and understand the expectations and the technology, what is done in Wipro itself. And even if you want to go anywhere else and if you want to work, you still will have to work for 1 year probably to understand what the technology is all about and take some learning